Could Will Anderson get a bigger contract than CJ Stroud? We're going to explore that and a whole lot more today on the Locked On NFL Scouting Podcast.
You are Locked On NFL Scouting with the Draft Dudes, your daily podcast for NFL and college football scouting. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's better than this? It's guys being dudes here on the Locked On NFL Scouting Podcast. We're the Draft Dudes. I'm Joe Marino from Locked On Bills. He's Kyle Crabbs from Locked On Dolphins. And we are your NFL experts here with you daily to talk team building across the league on the Locked On NFL Scouting Podcast with the Draft Dudes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Want to issue a big thank you, shout out, and welcome to our everydayers, those of you who never miss a single episode. We appreciate y'all being here very, very much. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. FanDuel is officially in playoff mode every game day during the NFL playoffs. FanDuel is giving customers even more ways to get in on the action. Visit FanDuel.com to get started.
Joe, happy Friday. Happy kickoff of your interview started 2 days ago?
2 days
Today?
ago. Yeah.
Today was day ball?
No, yesterday was day ball. They did Joe Brady. They did Lou Anarumo. Got Mike McDaniel on the line today.
Yeah, and you guys got flying down to Terry Pagula's house in Florida and going to bring Josh Allen with you to sit in on the head coaching interviews.
Yeah.
It's got to be a pretty cool experience as the franchise quarterback, right? To sit in on that.
Sure. I guess if you
you're
were
not happy about a change, but
yeah,
to have that kind of
right? You'd want to sit in on him if you were the quarterback, right?
Want some feedback? Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So if they can get aligned. All right, takes on takes. A lot of good stuff today. Some spicy stuff. Yeah,
I didn't see any of them.
Oh, well, you're going to hear about them right now. Steven kicks us off today. Will Anderson, that's an edge rusher for the Houston Texans, will get a higher AAV contract than his own quarterback that was drafted a spot higher than him. So both of them extension eligible this offseason. You got to think it's something that they're thinking a lot about in Houston. Whose AAV is higher, Will Anderson or CJ Stroud? Steven says Will Anderson.
Okay, so this would necessitate. Would you agree this would necessitate Will Anderson being the highest paid defensive player in football?
Yes.
In order to get there. Because that title currently goes to
Micah, right?
Micah. It was TJ Watt and then Micah.
Micah.
Maybe I'll see Jerry next week at Senior Bowl.
I hope so.
I'll just sit in his ear and whisper, Micah. I don't think Will's going to get that. I'm sure the other half of this take, right, is quarterback salaries and how they have ballooned in the way in which they have. And I don't know if I'm CJ Stroud, and I understand like we didn't have a very good is understating it by a million miles end of the season with the performance in the playoffs against the Patriots. But if I'm looking across the league at what other guys are getting, and Houston's coming in offering $40 million, I'm saying I'll keep playing on my rookie contract, right? Like I would not be in a rush to sign a new deal, the first new deal offer that's put in front of me. If you looked it up yesterday, Joe, there's 11 quarterbacks averaging $50 million annual average salary in their contract.
11.
And if I'm CJ, we know CJ's got a lot of confidence. So what I don't think CJ would do would be to do the low self-esteem thing and say, I'll take the first offer they give me. So I'm going to pass on this take.
Well, especially with the report that Tank Dell's going to be kind of ready to go. I'm sure he's going to say, all right, let me see what this looks like with Nico, Tank Dell, year two, and like this transition of offense, maybe some offensive line upgrades.
Let's not piecemeal it together with a bunch of veteran players that you look at. It's the before and after weight loss photo where it's the same guy just moved further back from the camera, right? Like that's what they do in the offensive line this year.
Right. Well put. Well said there. I like that. So I will disagree as well. I appreciate the bold take. I just don't see that. I think the world of Will Anderson, he should get a ton of money. But I think ultimately where CJ Stroud lands, it'll be higher than Anderson AAV. Continuing with the CJ Stroud discussion a little bit, Alex says both 2023 quarterbacks' playoff performances are I always say this word weird, and I get
indicative.
Thank you. I want to say indicative, man.
Indicative.
I get so much crap.
And you said it anyway.
I know, because in my mind, like, whatever, it's how I see it. Indicative of their future success. Bryce Young will perform. Thank you for bailing me out here, because you knew as soon as I paused.
You can tell we've done a few shows together, right?
It's like, yep, I know where this is going. Okay, Bryce Young will perform better than CJ Stroud next year. That's the take.
No. I disagree.
I know that you're pretty warm on CJ Stroud, it feels like.
I'm also cool on Bryce Young.
Even though Bryce Young arguably had some of his best moments here down the stretch and big moments.
He did. Made some big moments. Feels like Bryce has that ability to kind of be at his best when his best is required. But I think the overall body of work for me is he's just not for me.
If you had to move forward with either quarterback, which one would you
CJ
pick?
Stroud.
I think I'm with you.
I think I would move forward if you told me I had to play 13 games with CJ Stroud and 4 games with Davis Young or Davis Webb every Davis
Keep going.
Webb.
Keep going.
Davis
You're almost
Mills.
there. There it is.
Most. And 4 games of Davis Mills every year, I would take that before I would take 17 games of Bryce Young. Is that a fair?
No, I'm with you. I think you can appreciate some of the big moments from Bryce Young while also acknowledging the limitations, and they're just a lot to sign up for. CJ Stroud has his own limitations that are more by his own doing, by the way he plays, not necessarily physical limitations. But I think there's a better path to get a consistent high ceiling out of Stroud than Young.
Is there a more surefire thing than fans overbuying or overreacting to like the poor end of season performance for like any individual in any role for any team? You get a standalone playoff game and you play like crap or you coach like crap in it. That narrative for that entire offseason
stays with you.
It's just you suck.
That's the reality of the league, though. I think that your last exposure is just generally like what everybody thinks of you.
Mm-hmm. So I'll buy the dip on CJ Stroud.
Quarterback. I've studied quarterback metrics this playoff stretch. It's not good, man. Just not a lot of good quarterback play right now in these playoffs.
In these playoffs in particular, right?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like these playoffs, his quarterback play has been not stellar.
Yeah.
Nick says Miami, that's the Dolphins, not only brings in Malik Willis, but they bring Romeo Doubs in as well to be wide receiver 2 next to Waddle. With Reek looking like a cap casualty, Dobbs' familiarity with Malik will help the transition and bring a different type of receiver to the roster.
Okay. What kind of salary expectation do you think we should have for Romeo Doubs?
I look at the Jacoby Myers deal as probably a pretty good framework, which came in at right about 20 million a season.
It's too expensive. They can't afford it this year. They cannot afford multiple. Like if you're bringing in Malik Willis as a $20+ million, like it's an economic quarterback contract, but it's not a small contract, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Like they don't have that kind of pull this year. They just don't to have multiple signings of players in that regard. They have to reset the books.
Yeah. And Mr. Sullivan, I listened to him talk. He certainly sounded like when we have the opportunity to participate in free agency, there will be calculated. And I really thought he had a great answer for their approach there.
I like we're not just going to sign players to check boxes and look busy.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was like, yeah.
So there you go. Now you got to take that into your own consideration when you deal with free agency.
And my offseason blueprint's going to be dramatically different.
Yeah.
Than what it's been
You got to know. We both got to learn some new stuff, Kyle Crabbs. We both got. Maybe I'll just ask you for stuff that I need to know about.
Mike McDaniel, and we'll
McDaniel. You can
give me the 411. We can do the crash course and
fill me in. Yeah. Boy, Brandon Cooks will be back. Curtis Samuel, Mecole Hardman. Man, there it is. There's the trio he needs.
There you go.
All right, we got more to do, including some quarterback talk here on the other side of it. Folks, be sure to stick with us. Tax season doesn't have to take over your life. This year, TurboTax is making it easier than ever to just hand things off and move on with your day. With TurboTax Full Service, you can have your taxes done by a local, trusted expert, start to finish, without the stress or guesswork. Instead of spending hours trying to figure out forms, you can meet with a local TurboTax expert in person or connect online. They handle everything from W-2s to self-employed forms and work to get you every deduction. You can upload your documents, go about your day, and get updates right in the TurboTax app. It's a huge time saver and gives you real peace of mind knowing an expert is handling it. For a limited time, you can have your taxes done by a local TurboTax expert for just $150 all in if a TurboTax expert didn't file for you last year. Just file by February 28th. Take taxes off your plate and get back to your life. Visit TurboTax.com/local to book your appointment today. All right. Jacob says this: the Raiders should not take a quarterback with the first pick. The team is nowhere near ready. Trade back, get as many picks as you can, and trade Crosby as well. Run it back with Geno, bolster the O-line for Genti, and find your quarterback next year with the picks you accrued.
No. You got the spot this year for a guy. There's one guy. Just take the guy. I think the sum of the parts for the offense last year, individually, I think was much greater than the sum of the product. Like the Chip Kelly thing, just did not work, right?
Right. Yeah.
You heard some disaster class type analysis and insider reporting about what was going on with the offensive line and the offensive line coaching and like how poorly coached that group was. I remember we looked at the pieces and we looked at, Dylan Parham, Jackson Powers Johnson, Colton Miller. They had DJ Glaze as a young, second-year guy who was a top 100 pick. Meredith at center. They brought in Kappa to be a veteran player, and he ends up lapping Jackson Powers Johnson several times over because he's a vet, and it was very clear the staff didn't like JPJ, and that's fine. But, you mean to tell me that was an abject disaster collection of talent? And they drafted two guys, Rogers and who was the William & Mary kid?
Charles
Grant and Caleb Rogers. Guys, I liked a lot in the middle rounds. They're 1 through 8 on the offensive line. The individual parts of it was not a bad collection of talent. You got Brock Bowers, Michael Mayer. Right? The wide receiver situation you got there. You had a top 10 running back. So, yeah, maybe this team isn't ready to compete, but I look at the overall collection of talent and I'm like, just figure out your offensive coaching, tailor the system for Fernando Mendoza. You should have more than enough pieces to have at least a competent offense to get them up and rolling with.
Yeah. And I think the greatest indictment on that offense is Jacoby Myers there and Jacoby Myers with the Jaguars without any offseason or reps, just came in and made a difference. Jacoby Myers is a good player. I think that's a pretty strong indictment.
Can we do the splits last year?
Oh, I'm sure they're drastic.
Jacoby Myers, the success rate was relatively equal. The catch rate was relatively equal. The yards per target was almost a full yard higher. The touchdowns was 3-1. Yeah, he was a more efficient player and got significantly more volume.
A lot of down the field, intermediate down the field stuff as well. Also, I do think there's great conversations to have about teams being ready for a quarterback. I believe in that a lot. How do you look at the Patriots and what's happened with Drake May and feel like maybe you just got to do it, Maybe you just got to do it. And the other part of this is I haven't gotten too deep in this draft. In fact, I've watched 2 players. That'll change very soon.
So we got to ramp it up here.
Yeah, we're going to ramp it up. But I've talked to you a little bit about these players. If you're going to trade back, okay, whatever. But I guess the reason you could do that is because Mendoza is a guy that maybe other teams would like. So that would give you your opportunity to move back. But it doesn't feel like there's a whole lot of consolation prizes here where it's like, hey, we can move back a few spots and get this A+ player that would be better than a chance at a franchise quarterback.
Yeah, you need to stay probably in the top 5 to feel like you're guaranteed a blue chip player. And then I get the romanticization that exists. The only thing that's more certain than the bias from a poor final performance at the end of the season is the overinflation of the next year's quarterback class.
Always. Every year you hear it.
And it's like, I get it. We're rolling double digit deep with guys that we think could be first round guys, and we'll probably get a number of them, but half those guys probably won't play well. Another third of them will probably hit the transfer portal and not come out in the draft. And you're going to be in the same place that you're usually at, where it's like, oh, there's only 3 and we're 4th in the queue. Yeah. And the teams don't want to trade out of the spots. And it's like, you're here now. A bird in the hand is worth 2 in the bush, right? Like, take the 1 in the hand.
Isn't there
this position?
There's a normalization of the influx of quarterbacks into the league that has to happen based on NAL and guys staying in school longer, right? Like, there's been an interruption in that normal pipeline that I think we need a little bit of time before that normalizes, before we can, I think, get the quarterback classes that fueled the league at times throughout the last several years.
Mm-hmm.
Robert says this week, you guys talked about quarterback needy teams like the Jets looking into free agents or cut candidates like Kyler or Tua. But those teams should be looking into low-cost trade candidates like Will Levis or Anthony Richardson and waiting for the 2027 market at quarterback instead.
This guy's cooking. I like this.
Teddy take of the week that we sometimes give away.
This is the Teddy for me, which I remember. I wish I remember where even just the name of the Teddy for the title of the take of the week came from.
I was thinking of somebody named Ted or Teddy that gave a great take. Yeah,
this is the take of the week. I think with each one of those vet quarterbacks, Geno's 35, 36. Tua is not for long in the NFL with the durability stuff. And Kyler, we have a big enough body of work that we know what Kyler Murray is and what he's not, right?
Calamari. Good. Quinn Williams. Bless you.
What were you going to say? He's like, nothing. You remember what he's talking about? It was Kyler, right? He's before the Natty or whatever in the playoff game, and he was
he's
getting ready to like dump on him, and he was like stopped mid sentence and just looked and smiled and stared at the camera. There's not a long-term payoff there. Do I think Will Levis or Anthony Richardson's going to hit long-term? No, but how can you say anything with any level of confidence about Will Levis? Look at what Malik Willis looked like in Tennessee and then what he looked like with 2 years of Matt LaFleur, and recognize that Will Levis was in an equally bad offensive situation and he looked good with Liam Cohen in Kentucky, right? Like, maybe. So what's the cost of doing business to get into that end of the pool and get a couple of years of a rookie contract? Is it a 5?
Well, that was a Trey Lance trade, right? Wasn't it a 5 or something like that? Yeah, I'd do it. I'd be interested in that for sure.
Those are the kinds of swings of the bat. Like, heck yes, I would want to know.
Yeah.
I would want to. I think that's a very attractive path for some of these teams that need a lottery ticket to take.
Malik Willis was always QB1, Kyle.
We knew it. Never wrong, just early. One guy on Instagram that's got really nasty things to say about people is in the mud right now.
Hey, it comes full circle once again. A player I love goes to the Dolphins, right? Here it is.
Let's not. Maybe they'll go with Will Levis. Who knows? Maybe they'll go with Anthony Richardson. Who knows?
Maybe they'll go with Quinn Ewers.
Next take. That's the opposite of the Teddy, is that the Dolphins should roll with Quinn Ewers. And
Weekly Huddle. This is spicy. Keon Coleman, you heard of this guy?
Yeah, I have.
Is destined to be a 1,000-yard receiver for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Oh.
Like in his career in Pittsburgh, or like in...
If anybody could do it, Pittsburgh's had some great production out of some goofy guys, right?
Do we have to detach that now because Mike Tomlin's no longer there? Is that whole thing gone?
Probably. I will fade Keon Coleman getting 1,000 yards in any season of his NFL career.
It's tough to imagine him coming back to Buffalo.
Yeah, I'd imagine that door's probably closed, right? Like,
simultaneously, it's not like Keon Coleman's got a huge foundation that he can point to and be like, yeah, get me out of here. I think he's kind of made his own bed in some ways, and he doesn't have a whole lot. It's like Romeo Dobbs a few years ago. Remember, he demanded a trade, and you're like, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see on Keon Coleman. We'll see what he does. All right. We got more to do, including some head coaching ideas that we'll get to on the other side of it. Folks, be sure to stick with us. The NFL season is in full swing, and there's nothing like being at the game. The crowd noise, the energy, and cheering alongside other fans. Watching at home is great, but being in the stadium hits different. The frustrating part has always been getting tickets, waiting in queues, dealing with logins, and watching prices change right at checkout. That's why the Game Time app gives the advantage back to fans. It's the hack for unlocking amazing NFL tickets and experiences in just a few taps. The app is incredibly intuitive. Browsing, comparing, and buying tickets will only take you a few minutes, and you'll love this. You'll be able to see the view from your seat before buying, so there's no surprises. And speaking of no surprises, all of the fees are included up front, so the price you see is the price you pay. So take the guesswork out of buying NFL tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNFL. That's LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today and get back to being there live. FanDuel is officially in playoff mode every game day during the NFL playoffs. FanDuel is giving customers even more ways to get in on the action because right now, every NFL playoff game day, FanDuel users get a profit boost pack waiting for them inside the app. Each game day, you'll see a pack loaded with multiple profit boosts that you can apply to the bets that you like most. So make sure you open that profit boost pack first thing on game day and see which boosts you want to apply. And the boosts are going to let you lean into your game day instincts, whether you're backing momentum, defense, quarterback play, or coaching. You make your picks, then apply your profit boost to go after even bigger payouts while the playoffs are rolling. So visit FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL, and grab your profit boost pack every NFL playoff game day.
We should probably acknowledge that Jesse Minter got hired by the Ravens.
I know. Yeah.
And like you and I didn't talk about it at all.
I know. I was thinking, this is my idea though. It's like Monday's show. We talk about the conference championship games and we tuck that in there. You know what I mean?
Okay. That's fine.
Maybe some full thoughts on it, but
maybe we'll get another hire over the weekend, right?
Yeah. Like build out that Monday show a little bit,
Great.
You know?
Great.
So
sounds good.
They
maybe we can do some draft prospects next week.
Is the draft coming? What is this? Is this when all the college players, the NFL picks them? Yeah. Yeah. I got it. I'm getting a little interested. So don't worry. We'll get there. We'll get there.
Get the itch going a little bit.
JC says Sean McDermott, former Bills head coach Sean McDermott, is going to seek vengeance on the Bills in the form of taking the Jets job next offseason, just like Rex Ryan did the opposite a decade ago.
You know what would be absolutely hilarious is if he took the Jets DC position, which is I think the only like vacancy he could take right now that would be like, why?
Sure.
So the biggest part of this take is that Aaron Glenn is going to be not for long, and
sounds like it. Yeah, it's Sean McDermott. Yeah, so Aaron Glenn is 2 and done. They bring in Sean McDermott with all the draft picks and try to build a sustained winner.
The only reason I'm going to say no to this is because it would create that much more separation for Mike Vrabel, who is already the longest tenured coach in the AFC East.
I know. And then it's Aaron Glenn, and then it's Jeff Hafley.
Yeah, Jeff Hafley is currently the 3rd longest tenured. And then if they got rid of Glenn, then it would be like Hafley would be the 2nd longest tenured. Can't happen. So I think the Jets would be wise to let this play out. Does that mean that they're going to do it? No. But you have signed yourself up for the long road. And I can't help but feel like if you were to start churning now, it's going to feel a lot like that stretch of Romeo Crennel and David Culley for Houston, where they couldn't get like a serious candidate to have any interest in taking the job.
The Browns right now?
The Browns right now is another great example. Because
Mike McDaniel told you no.
They strapped it up with Andrew Berry and said, we're going to keep rolling with Andrew Berry. We've still got 1 year of the Deshaun Watson thing, but the ownership reputation there's been what it's been. They're trying to impose coordinators on top of the performance of the team.
With no quarterback.
Yeah, I wish I remember who was reported this so I could credit it appropriately. Somebody reported they've had more declined interviews than they've had successful interviews.
Well, they've had 4 declined.
4 declined, like second interviews? Like people that have taken their name out of the job?
Harbaugh, McDaniel, Minter, and one more.
But then they've had even more that like they called to set up an interview and they said no.
Oh, geez. Yeah. Okay. Tough scene. I don't think so. You answered that from the Jets side of things. From the Sean McDermott side of things, of course, I'm sure there'll be some appeal to getting a chance to compete against the Bills. But I think Sean McDermott's somebody who will be very choosy about what he does next.
He's going to do the Vrabel thing this year, right? At
this point. Yeah. I mean, I think maybe if he were to become a player in Pittsburgh, I think that would be a place I could see him going. But I don't think he's going to go to a place like the Jets where, I think there's a lot of questions about the ownership there. So,
yeah.
Ian says fans need to stop overcorrecting when it comes to new head coaches being offensive or defensive minded. Fans with unsuccessful defensive minded head coaches tend to blame it so much on that one aspect that they now demand an offensive guy. It's not the scheme, it's the person.
It's not the scheme, it's the person. At this point, all the scheme stuff you're trying to run has been at some stage tried and true, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's no reinventing new coverages, or there's different ways to go from a presentation of something to playing something else. But by and large, we've reached the end of what's that? The space is the final frontier, but then it's like we've discovered only so much as we're ever going to discover. Like,
we just go back to things that used to work and try them again. Yeah.
Right. So tying and tethering it all together is, I think, where the scheme is problematic. Now, you can have people that implement a scheme very poorly, and is that the person, or is that technically the scheme? But by and large, I think it's the ideas work. It's how do you use the ideas and how you tie the ideas together.
Yeah.
And those are the things that, generally speaking, either define a success or a failure.
I tend to agree with that. I've been defensive of defensive-minded head coaches for a long time. I will continue to maintain that. I also do think that there are times for an organization where the right thing is an offensive mind. So I do feel that way about the Bills right now.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't have criticism for the Dolphins for hiring a defensive-minded head coach. That's fine. I don't really feel that way.
Sometimes you need a leader, right? Sometimes you need a guy that's going to say, hey, show up and be on time. And if not, there's going to be a problem, instead of a coach that's okay with that,
Exactly. Michael, here's a big one. This is an interesting idea. I don't know if I agree with it or not, but it's a good conversation piece. Michael says NFL head coaches should be part of a team's salary cap, and teams should have penalties for firing coaches early before their guaranteed contract runs out.
Why? Why should there be a penalty for this? Other than it's an interesting idea.
It's an interesting idea. I think I'm sure what Michael is getting at is that if you're going to commit to a coach for a certain amount of time, you get off the hook, they disappear, but you still keep paying them.
Mm-hmm.
If that was rolled into your salary cap, like maybe those decisions would be different. I understand the whole point of a salary cap is for players.
Right, because nobody else has any kind of coaching. None of the other professional sports leagues have a coaching pool that is limited in cap, right?
All right, I agree. I don't necessarily agree with this. I was interested to bring this up and see if there was a compelling reason why this should be a thing that happens.
And I don't have one.
I don't think I do either. Unless we just continue to take exception that coaches get fired so many years before their deal runs out, and you feel like there needs to be more like commitment from the team's end to the opportunity they presented to the coach.
If you want to throw money away and keep paying coaches that are not coaching
that's
for
your
you,
choice. That's your prerogative.
Your choice, right? It's
right.
like I'm not made of money, so I can't do that. But like if you want to have 3 Netflix accounts, like who am I to, like, because you forgot to have them, right? Like,
but I think you can look at certain teams, and I guess that's just a natural idea of like, hey, you have 32 independent organizations that play in this league. I could imagine being a fan of a team that is reluctant to move on from a coach because they're under contract and doesn't want to pay coaches to not coach. Like I wouldn't love that.
Yeah.
But that's not something that the spirit of the salary cap is designed to regulate.
Right. It's an ownership challenge.
Yeah, and I think
certain owners.
And I think we should embrace the fact that there are different owners that have different, mindsets and approaches, and like, yeah, you got to live with it. Like you align with whatever team you align with, and that's part of your fan story. Sorry. Let's close with this one. Dortzolini says watching football is more fun when it's not your favorite team. Less stress, less emotion, more love of the game.
Yeah. If you're watching games without your favorite team playing because you're not emotionally invested in the game, it is a love of the game experience and not the fan experience. I think that is refreshing. Now, you couldn't replace fanhood with anything, right? For me, like to be part of a team as it goes through their season, it's a lot easier when the team is likable. Right? And it's not always, you get some years where like you kind of know, it's like, man, I don't like this group, right? But even if you're not winning, if it's a likable group of players and individuals that you could root for, like that's the most fulfilling part of being like watching football for me. But like I enjoy the game itself more when I'm not emotionally invested in the outcome of the game.
Now, when you watch your favorite team win, that's peak. That's the high.
Because that's you're emotionally invested in the outcome of the game and you get the payoff at the end of it. And you're invested in those individuals.
The other side of this is, how often do you watch a football game where you genuinely don't care who wins it?
Pretty often.
Do you?
Because of the amount of games that we have to watch.
Yeah, you're right about that. But I always find myself like rooting for certain things or certain players or results that have an impact on my own preferences. So I always feel like I have a hunch, or like I'm at least watching the game, and maybe I don't even feel like I have a hunch, but then I start watching it and something captures me and I start rooting for that outcome.
Yeah.
So I normally get to a point where I have a bit of an interest, but
yeah,
I think there's a lot of merit to what Dortzolini brings up here. And, it can be really fun to just not have a dog in the fight and just watch the game.
And just enjoy the authentic.
Going to Alabama, LSU, a million years, 2019. Do you think I didn't care who won that game, but it was fun.
Yeah. It's a great game too. That's going to do it for us here today on Locked On NFL Scouting. Kyle Crabbs, Joe Marino. We appreciate you guys as always for checking the show. Make it a great rest of your day. Enjoy conference championship games. We'll be back to talk to you all again on Monday.